welcome to this week. This week is about views with SQL. So the objective is to create and use views, including read-only and updatable views. Knowledge is describe what a view is, describe benefits of using views, given a view determine whether it is updatable, and describe the effect of a with check option clause or an updated view. So getting to this is a good way to think about what is a view. Okay, so let's, for example, we're in here within MySQL and we're going to pull up some data here. So we use the OM database and I'm going to pull up a table here which is customers. So if I select all the customers, as you can see here, I selected all the customers. There's 25 customers. I have all the fields. A view is a subset of that data. So you may let's say that you're working in the industry, or maybe maybe you're a student and you're whatever your case is. Someone may come to you and says, "Hey, you know what? I only need a subset of data." Now they could say, "Hey, you know what, Jeff? I need all 25 rows." But in this case, we know that 25 rows is our data, and they're like, "Hey, I just need a little bit of data. I don't need everything." That typically means that now this is a small table. If I had like maybe a bigger table, like let me see if I can find a bigger table. When I say bigger table, like I don't know if this is gonna be a bigger one or not. That's very small. Typically, like a big table, let's say that the table has, I don't know, 25 to 30 different columns. That's a large table. That's a lot of many columns, and every time you're not going to need all the data. So when doing a view, they may say I only need a subset of data. And it also depends. It doesn't have to be one table. It could be multiple tables. You got multiple join statements. You could be joining on 3 or 4 different tables. And obviously they want a subset. They don't want all the data. And in this case right here, someone came to me and said, "Hey, I just want," if I look at this field right here, which is the OM database. I'm trying to find the thing here. Table customers. All right, so if you look at the columns here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 9 columns, and they're like, "Hey, I just need the first name, last name, and city. That's it." Now, I could easily write them a query and provide that to them, but providing them a view allows me to provide this define environment, and this define holds it at all times. So it's kind of like if you have a box and you only keep certain things in it. So for example, I have a box and I keep my wine pump in it, and I keep my anything that deals with my pump itself. So I have the actual hardware in there, and then I have the pumps that go with it that sit in that box. Or I might have another box and I might have like contents of different chemicals I use for making wine. And so that would be its own view in a sense. So it's just a way to make a process easier. Another thing is, working in industry, having defined views makes it easier, because when they're querying against the data, they're not querying all the data. So let's say that your table has like 3 million rows in it, okay? And so it's like a busy room with a lot of people in it. And if you go in the busy room and you know where that specific information's at, every time you're going to be able to get it and you're going to be able to leave, and it's not going to cause any problems. Okay. And that's kind of how the view works itself. So let's create our first view. Let's show what a view is, and then kind of how to create it, and go from there. Okay. So there's a couple different ways that you can create it. You can easily here by using customers. I could easily just come here and let's just do this. Let's create a new schema or new SQL. I think this is the easiest way, in my opinion. Make sure it's a little bit bigger. All right. So you'll put the name of the table that you're going to create. So do use OM in this case. That's what we're going to use, this same thing that we just had right here. We'll use it for our example. And let's see here real quick. So let me show you this real quick. So if you click on the tables, if you click on OM, you'll see views, store procedures, and functions. So I can easily come over here and click create view and write my view here. That's one way, and we'll show you. We'll use both ways. So let's do it this way. We just create a new query. I did OM here. Let me make this bigger. Still not big enough. All right, use OM. And then in this case right here, we know that we have customers. So we said customer first name, last name. So let's do this. Let's do create. We'll type in CreateView, and then you give it a name. So I try to do VW because VW to me stands for view. You could do view, but then that's using a keyword. So you don't want to use a keyword. So I'm just going to give it that. So I'll call it customers. Well, we'll say OM. So it specifies which scheme it is, and we'll just say customers. Okay, and then we'll do as. And I could do it down here, and I'll do it up here. Doesn't matter if you do it up there or down there, whatever. And then I'll select my query. So what is my query going to be? Well, I'm going to put what table it's from real quick, because by me putting the table it's from, it'll be easier. So then I'll start pulling up some of the data for myself, the fields. So I know I want last name. So what is it, last name? Oh, I thought it would. Let's see what it is real quick. Okay, customer. All right, so customer, first name, thought it would pop up. We'll do customer, last name, and customer state. It's fine. Now, typically what I say before we create the view is go ahead and copy this. Go over here and run it first. I have to put what database we're using. The reason I say that is so you want to make sure the query works first before you even provide a view. So now we know it works. That's good. And we can even order it by state. So I could say order by customer state, and we'll say ascending order. Okay. Perfect. So what I'm gonna do is copy this right here. I'm gonna go back over to my view right here, and I'm just gonna do order by. Okay. I'm gonna copy this, and I'll show you what else I'm gonna do. All right. So then I'm gonna do is just click execute. And if you see at the bottom down here, it created it. So how do I tell? I'll come down here. I'll refresh it maybe. It's right here. It's really small to see. All right, so look at that. Now I have my view right there. All right, so we'll go back to how to execute and all that stuff. Let me create another view. So remember I showed you that you can just do this. You can come down here to views and do create view. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna use the same query. I just want to show you how to do it, and then we'll drop it. And we'll call it view OM customers, and I'll put 2. I'll put duplicate, so we know it's a duplicate. So what I could do is I could purge that out, and then all I have to do here is click apply. It brings all this up and add some different additional information in here and hit apply. And it says execute statement successfully. Once again, I come up here and hit refresh. And now I have the duplicate down there. So you see you could do it either way. Doesn't matter, whatever your preference is. Now, the query view, you could just come here and do a query statement. You could say select everything from VM or VWOM customers. Okay. Oops. Excuse me. And boom, there's your data. Now, the thing about it is I thought I ordered it by CD. I did order it by, okay. So I thought there was Arizona in there. That's why I was like, what? Anyways, so you see, you could just do it like that. Or even if I did the other one, which is duplicate. And you see what I mean about this. You get only the subset of data. You only get that. And here's the thing, you call your view, you could use your view if you're writing a front end app, whatever the case is. So I'm gonna purge this one right here because we don't need it. And so what I gotta do is I could just come in here and do drop view and says, do you wanna do it? Sure, why not? And it drops it, so it's gone. That's how you create, 2 different ways that you create the same view. And so now you have an idea what a view is, okay? All right, see what else can we do? So we talked about how to test it, and that's how you test it. The other way is you could actually come over here and just select, and it'll pull all the data up as well. Now, I should mention that, let's say that you wanted to modify the view. Okay. Let's say that you're like, I want to change some stuff around. You could come down here and do alter view. And then you could just come in here and change your information around. So let's say that you don't want state in there anymore. You're like, or let's say you do want another column. Let's say that you don't. Let's say you want city, okay? Because I think city's on there. You could copy it. Let's just double check before I lie to you. City, okay. So you could copy that line right there. Make sure you put a comma here, paste it, and we'll just replace it with city. And then we'll replace that with city. Just like that. And yeah, and then hit apply. Boom. And that's it, it's done. So then how to test it, close out of this, run this query again. Look at that, you got city. That's it. So that's how you create a view. Let's say, all right, so let's change our view around a little bit. We're gonna just use the same view. That's gonna be our tester here. So now we know what we got here. So let's go back to change view again. Okay, and let's make this view a little bit bigger. Perfect. Now what we're gonna do here is we're going to do a where clause. So I'm gonna say where. So as you see here, everything looks very funky, which I totally agree. We're going to say customer city. So I could say om.customers, I hope it works, custom state output equals California. And I think California was a customer state. Yeah, there's a lot there. You know what, let's do Ohio because there's only 4 Ohios. We'll see if this works by me not adding all that jumbo lumbo stuff there. So this would be a way to filter on it. So I'll apply it. All right, so it doesn't like it because I don't have all that stuff in there. All right, so let's do this, that's fine. So we'll play along with the game. So let's see if we do it like, oh, we had state. So let's copy this and I'll just paste it down here. And I'll put, I'm wondering how this will work. If I do equals, I'm thinking it has to be like this. And this is what I don't like about this. I'll put Ohio. We'll see if that works. All right, apply it. Yeah, sure. All right, what's it not like? There was an error in applying SQL. Order by, maybe because I have an order by in state. Maybe that's the problem. So let's cut this out for a second. And apply it. Nope, that's not it either. There was an error. Well, it doesn't tell me what the error was. This is what I don't like about. All right, give me a second here. Let's close out of here, not save that. Let me see, there has to be a different way of doing this. All right, so this is what I did. I ran it and it blew up on me. And then as you see here, I tried to put Ohio in here again. I applied it and it blew up on me. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? This is ridiculous, this should work. So then I took it out and put it in here and ran the query. And it said that it was unknown customer state, whatever. So then I ran the query and made a modification. Now this query right here works. So what I'm gonna do is all I need is this where clause in here. I'm gonna copy this where clause and it should work this time. So I'm going to put it right here. I'm gonna apply it, so if this doesn't work, then I'll be surprised. Boom. So your best way is just to right click on it and hit alter. But what I suggest is to take it out and put it in here and run it and see if it works. If it doesn't work, copy. What I did is I copied this line right here. I just copied a row, and then I pasted it down here to see what the error message was so I could debug it. So now if I exit out of that, since that's done, if I run this, we should just go Ohio because we did a filter on it. So there's a lot of different things that you can learn within that, and one of it was debugging, which is debugging is your number one friend. Trust me on that one. The way to make it work. All right, so let's see what else we have to do. All right, so let's create a subquery view. Okay, so I am going to create a new window. I am going to make it a little bit bigger. We're going to use a different table this time. We're going to use the vendors table, which is the, I think it's, let me find it up here, AP table, I think. Vendors, yeah. All right, let me pull down what columns we got here. All right, cool. All right. So let's do create view, and we will say vendors phone list. So let's say, I'll make sure I don't have it because I may have created it before. So if I did, I might want to, all right, view phone. Nope, I don't have. Okay, I do, but I don't. All right, so create view. All right, and just do view vendors phone list. Perfect. And we'll do select, and I'll do the vendor name. Oops. I'll do the contact, last name. Oops. We'll do the vendor contact first name. Oops. Yeah. We'll do the vendor phone. And okay, from vendors. And then this is where we'll do the subquery. We'll say where. And when you do a subquery, you can only, when you do it, a subquery, you can only use one field. You can't use multiple fields. So we're doing vendor ID, and we're going to use the end statement. And we're going to do select. I'm going to do distinct because we want only one record. And I'm going to do vendor ID. And we'll put from and invoices. Now, you can make this any way you want to. I was trying to make it. The reason I do this is I learned this from a past boss, and I got used to doing it. And it makes sense because it's easy to debug if something does blow up. It's easy to see where things went wrong. All right, perfect. There we go. All right, so we have the invoices, and let me see here. What are we missing? I think that's it. So let's run this here, make sure it works. All right, so it doesn't. Let's copy this real quick and see what I did wrong. Use OM or AP. Let's see what I did wrong here. I didn't do anything wrong. Maybe because I didn't put OM there. Or AP. All right, that's what it was. I didn't put AP there. All right, so what we did here is we created a view and we said select this table right here from the vendors, and we said wherever the vendor ID is in the vendor ID from the invoices. So what it does is it just basically, it's like doing a query saying select everything from invoices where vendor ID is in, say it's 1, 2, 3, comma 1, 2, 3, 4, comma, etc. So that right there is your view. So now we know this is it right here. We can copy it. We could just come down here. Let's say select all to test it from, and what do we get? I don't know. In a second here. Boom. Records work. And then you can easily take that query and run that query as well, which we already ran it. And you can compare it to SAM to make sure from apples to apples are basically the same. So far at this point, we've learned how to create a view. We've learned how to create it using the view from the table. We've learned how to alter a view. We've learned how to create a view using a subquery. We learned how to make it not work before it works. So there's a lot of cool things that we did there. So anyways, good progress. We learned how to use a where clause. All right, so let's see, how many other things we want to do? We want to talk about how to, use a view in a join. So we want to do that. We also want to talk about using a view with a limit. And we want to talk about how to create a view and an updatable view. That's 3 things. And lastly, we want to see how to update an existing view. So we got 4 things that we want to do. So give me a second to come back and we'll continue this discussion. We're at 21 minutes, so we're probably looking at another 10-15 minutes. All right, I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. All right. All right, so let's continue with what we're missing here. All right, we're talking about joins now. So let's create a new query. You know what? Let's close out. Let's do some housekeeping here. All right, let me make this bigger, sorry. All right, so this one right here, we're gonna do a subquery, so now we're gonna do a join. And so let's do a limit before, because it'll be quicker. So let's just do a query first. So we'll say use AP. And so if we're gonna do a limit, so we can say, for example, let me think about this. Let's select everything from the invoices real quick. Select all from invoices. I don't have this prepared, I'm just kind of doing it on a whim here. All right, so we have a lot of records. We don't want to grab all this data. So let's say we're going to do a subset of data. Maybe, maybe we say we do the vendor ID and invoice total. So, and what did I say? Invoice total. All right, so from invoices, perfect. All right, so we have a lot of records here. So let's say that we do an order by the vendor ID, and we'll do a sending order. Perfect. And now let's say that we don't want to do all of the records. Okay, and say we only want to limit to a certain number. We can just type in limit, and we say 10 records. So you do limit and a number of records, and you put it to end after your order by or your group by, and there you go, we have 10 records. So we can make that a view. So let's do this. We already have one there, so let's do a create view. We'll call it, let me show you something else that you could do. We can type in, instead of create view, we could type in create or replace view. Okay, and I'll show you where I'm going with this in a second here. And we'll call it view vendor invoices. And we'll do an as. Actually, that's bad. View vendor invoices. We should do, say, top 10 vendor invoices. As if we do top 10, then we say that that's always going to give us a top 10. So when you create your views, you want to be specific. Let's say we do say top 10, and then your boss says, hey, I need top 20 now. Well, then you have to create the view all over again. So we'll say top, limit it. Limit it vendor invoices as, and then we get whatever. So let's create this query right here. And so now we created this query, this view. So if we come here, copy it, I'll create a new query real quick. Use AP, and we'll select everything from here. Okay, and boom, it does 10, right? All right, your boss comes in and says, guess what? I want you to do 15 now. Or we'll say 20. All right. Well, right now, and I showed you how to alter a view. So let's just query that. Now you notice here it ran that. It says no effects at rows, limit 20. I'm going to show you something. So we're going to come back over here. We're going to run that. Look at that. We have 20 records. You see what we did? We altered a view without going over here and right-clicking and altering the view. This was a lot easier. So, recommendation when you create your views, you save them. And so that way you archive them, you put them out in GitHub, whatever the case is. And then when your boss comes in and say, hey, I want to update that, no big deal. You could just run this script, modify the limit, and this right here does all the magic. You're doing create or replace view. Now, I didn't show you this early on because I wanted to show you different ways of getting around to it, and then I wanted to kind of, boom, show you a different way, and this is probably the best way of doing it. All right, just taking a drink. So that's our limit view. So we're gonna keep this bad boy up here, and we're gonna create a join one, and we're gonna call this one, we'll just keep it up and we'll just rename it. So we'll call this one view vendor invoices as, and then what we'll do here, we'll do select some different information here. We'll say select vendor name. We'll do invoice number. We'll do invoice date and invoice total, which we already have here. There we go. From invoices. Well, from vendors, sorry, vendors. And then we'll say join, and we'll join on invoices. So all we're doing at this point is just doing a join statement. And we'll say on, and let's give it an acronym. I'll say V for vendors, I for invoices. So that way we can say on v.vendor ID equals I.vendor ID. And that's it. So, and we could order by vendor ID, maybe. Let's say v.vendor ID. Well, let's do vendor ID and take this out. Take this out and take the limit out because we're not doing a limit. And let's run this as a query first before we create a view. See if it works. And it didn't. Vendor ID is in our clause. What did I do wrong here? Let's see, response didn't like it. Oops. Column vendor ID is in order clause is ambiguous. All right, so let's take that out for a second and see if it runs. This is debugging right here at its best. All right, so it did debug it. In this case right here, we probably don't want to order by vendor ID anyways. We probably want to do by vendor name. That may be vendor ID. Ascending. So let's create the query again. It still doesn't like vendor ID. Wonder why. Let's do v.vendor ID. Shouldn't matter, but all right. So you had to specify which one. It doesn't matter because they're going to equal each other one because we're doing an inner join. Anyways, so as you see here, we did, so like ones that have multiple, like Blue Cross, they go by invoice ID. You probably want to do by date instead. So I'm going to do invoice date. So let's take this off real quick and do invoice date. This is probably the better way. So you see what I'm saying? You want to kind of make sense of your query. All right, so now we did by Blue Cross. We do by date. We don't care about ID because date should be the correct way. So anyways, this would be the right way of doing a join. So it's just a join, and now we're just making it a view. Okay, so now I'm gonna query it. And now if I query that view right there, we should be golden. Paste it. There you go. And look at that. Ta-da, that's magic. That's how you do a view with a join. We did a limit. Now, let's see, what else can we do here? We can do an updated view. So let's do this one, for example. So we know what our data is. Let's see if we can update the view. So if we come down here and just, we should grab an updated view. So we'll say view, update, vendor invoices. And what we're going to do here is, we don't have to do the join because this join already exists. So let me delete all this stuff here. We're going to say update, name of the table, which is this here. Oops. And then we're going to make a change. We're going to say set. Oops. Set, what do we want to change here? Maybe the invoice total. Invoice total equals, we'll say $120.35, where we'll just pick a specific one. We can put where invoice number equals something, so we'll say copy, if that'll work. Where invoice number equals, all right, copy entire row, I meant column. That's fine, because that's the invoice number we want, I think. Let's see here, invoice, yeah, that's it, 5217, all right, cool. So, hypothetically speaking, if I do, oh, what's it saying? Update is not in position. Well, that's right, we're going to highlight. So we're updating the table, set the invoice total equal this, where the invoice number equals that. Okay, so real quick, let's copy this, select all from here, where, and this is usually what I do, is I do a validation and test. Validate is validates where it's at currently, and test is where it's going to be at. Okay. All right. It doesn't like it for some reason. Table ap.view invoice doesn't exist. All right. You're kidding me? All right. Let's see. So did the table? Oh, we didn't even update it yet. No, we did. Oh no. You know what? Vendor invoices. Oh, what an idiot. So that would never work. That's going to be the name of the view, so we have to update the right table. That's awesome. Beautiful. All right, so I mean, all right, so let's query that. All right, so there's your table 116. So if I do update this table, which that's just going to be the name of the view I call, it should update it to 120.35 from 116. So if I execute it, it said it worked. So now if I query it down here, It's 120.35. Okay. So now we're going to make it just 121.35. And we are going to make that view. So it's going to be called that now. So I'm going to execute it. I didn't like it for some reason. You have an error. SQL error. What's it saying here? Copy it. Maybe because I had that in there. Let's see. Oh, yeah, debugging is awesome. All right, so you have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual. Oh, it might not allow us to do this in this version, and that's the thing about our version. It has options. Near update. All right, what's it say here? Update is not a valid position. Select table values with. So let's see. Huh. All right. So you can't create a. Okay. So this is what you can't do, and there's a way around this. You can't create a view with the update statement. It has to be, and it shows you right here, has to be a select statement, a with value, whatever the case is. You can't do that. Now, you can update a view without calling, because think about it, a view only creates a select view. An update does not do a view. So if we wanted to do this, you know what we have to do? We have to create a store procedure. And a store procedure will allow us to add this code in here, call the store procedure, and then it changes it. And guess what we're learning next? Store procedures. So we'll save this for a store procedure one. But you've seen that we can update it. We can update a view. So that's perfect. So we'll save this for a store proc one, and we'll use it when we do the updates. That concludes this video on views for this week, and it'll help you get by. This video is about 36-37 minutes. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, Slack me or send me an email. Have a good day.